Hello and welcome to a special edition of Battle Cry. I'm Gaurav Sawant. In this special broadcast, we will talk about drone warfare. There have been sightings of unmanned aerial vehicles in and around Jammu. One drone was used to drop improvised explosive device on the Indian Air Force base in Jammu. Not just that, at the Indian High Commission in Pakistan, a drone perhaps like this was used to fly over the residential complex at the Indian High Commission, and India has made a strong complaint about this. It's a major breach in security. During the course of the next half hour, we will tell you about the drone strike in Jammu, the drone sightings and preventive measures that are being taken. We'll also get the most authoritative voices on the subject, from the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, to the Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Bhadoria, to the Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Mukund Narvane. Drones have been used by India's adversary to the west, Pakistan, to drop arms, ammunition and drugs in Punjab. There were times that the Border Security Force succeeded in bringing down the Pakistani drones. At times they went back. But that big shock came when a drone was used to drop explosives at the Indian Air Force base in Jammu. The question is, does India have the capacity and the capabilities to stop armed drones? Let's find out.
Tiny little carriers of terror, with nothing but the wind beneath their little rotors. They've signaled a new nightmare for Indian security. We've long been in the age of military drones, but it's the most simple of these unmanned air machines. Tiny little hobby quadcopters that are now the compellers of India's sleepless nights. The monster question: can India stop mini drone warfare, or are we doomed to be overwhelmed? The bad news first. There's no blanket solution, and the literally miniature size of the threat means there's never going to be 100% defense against it. A comprehensive approach is going to be necessary. First things first, traditional air defense radars at our military stations and airports are programmed for large targets like aircraft, helicopters and bigger drones. If they're calibrated to detect small hobby drones, even birds would set off radar alarms, overwhelming the system and causing chaos and confusion. Apart from sanitization of areas around sensitive installations, specialized equipment does exist to counter drones in flight. But these again are hit or miss, with no guarantee of full protection. As you can imagine, the Indian Air Force and Bureau of Civil Aviation are scrambling to address the threat to installations. Most technologies, including anti-drone jammers and systems, are deployed in the terminal stage of a rogue drone's flight path, the last 100 meters or so, when there's very little reaction time. It would therefore be hard for a defense system to precisely identify a rogue drone's vulnerabilities and then deploy countermeasures. India's own DRDO says that its anti-drone device can bring down micro-drones at a distance of up to 3 kilometers and use lasers to target them from distances of over 1 kilometer away. Another security force operating under the Home Ministry recently imported a high-powered electromagnetic system, which zaps drones with an electromagnetic pulse, causing them to crash. But these systems could not be deployed at airports because of the risk to incoming aircraft. So you begin to see the complications in anti-drone defense. The outlook remains unfortunately bleak. many existing countermeasures will be powerless against a swarm attack, a pack of drones flying into their targets from multiple directions. The next big scare began in Jammu, for which there are few answers yet. With Sandeep Unithan in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
One thing is clear. It's not possible to protect every VA, VP, every convoy, every military installation, or even schools or malls. Terrorists could strike anywhere. Then the question is, what is the best option? Is offense the best defense? And does India have the capacity and the capability to strike the enemy where it hurts? Let's find out.
You've been watching the news of the mini drone attacks in Jammu. Dinky little plastic drones triggering a state of high alert. Bits of plastic, sparking fear and terror in an age of high-tech warfare. But you're probably also thinking, can't India also conduct mini drone strikes? The simple theoretical answer is yes. Converting a hobby drone into a grenade carrier isn't a complicated task and can be done at low cost without much effort. These silent killers are hard to detect and neutralize in time and can be used to wage war with plausible deniability. But if your question is whether India conducts such mini drone strikes already, well, that's where things begin to blur. Let's tell you what we know for sure. For starters, like we said, rigging an IED or grenade to a drone isn't difficult. Several medium performance hobby drones can easily be integrated for such tasks. Second, Indian forces have been scouting mini drones purpose-built for such strikes, like the Israeli Firefly seen in these pictures, a helicopter-style mini drone packing a sensor and warhead basically used by infantry teams to hunt down, pinpoint and attack kamikaze style. These devastating drones have recently been ordered by the Israeli Defense Forces and could soon find a place with Indian infantry teams. And finally, Indian drone companies, which already supply high-quality drones to the Indian military, are looking to offer armed varieties of their quadcopters, giving the military the option of purchasing specialized, tiny hunter-killers.
There are multiple things, Shiv. So there are various category of armed drones that will be required, and there are reports that a significantly large number is going to be required. However, as a company, IdeaForge is probably not going to look at arming them ourselves. At the very best, we may look at partnering with people who want to, put such payload. Now, whether do we have payload capability or not, we do have payload capability on some of our systems. However, we are probably only looking at partnerships in that domain. So we're going to be exploring this via partners.
The utility of drone attacks like these is they're difficult to trace back and provide a compelling low-investment effect on the adversary. Whether India will deploy such tactics remains to be seen. Bureau Report, India Today.
Chief of the Army Staff General Manoj Mukund Narvane spoke exclusively to India Today and said India is developing capabilities to protect our territory and our assets from drone attacks. Of course, India needs to be prepared for many more drones to be used both by state and non-state actors. This is an India Today exclusive. General, you've been quoting General Julia Douhet speaking of victory, smiling on those who anticipate changes in the character of war. Is the use of drones in this hybrid war that change in the character of war? Did we anticipate it, General? Or are we now trying to adapt?
Well, as you quite rightly mentioned, that the character of warfare has been changing continuously, and the advent of drones and counter-drone systems has radically altered the way we think and how we will be having to fight in the future. With their ease of availability, drones can be easily accessed and can be used by both state and non-state actors. So we will also have to factor this in as we go along and make our plans. But I would like to assure you that we are fully seized of this issue, and we are working towards making sure that we are not found wanting in this regard.
Like the terror attack that took place at the Jammu Air Base, can we prevent the next terror strike?
Drones will be increasingly used in all sorts of combat in the future, both by state and non-state actors. And we will have to factor this in all our future planning that we do. And as I mentioned in my address, we are catering for both the offensive and use of drones, as also focusing on the defensive measures or the counter-drone systems or measures that we need to adopt to prevent any attacks on our critical facilities by drones and their use whether by state or non-state actors.
General, we have a very strong counter-terrorism grid in Jammu and Kashmir, but is this nature of warfare changing in terms of, so yes, as you've explained, we have multi-tiered grid in Jammu and Kashmir. They may be able to stop terrorists. How will they stop drones? How do we counter the threat of unmanned aerial vehicles in the hands of either state, non-state or state-supported non-state elements in this hybrid or grey zone warfare?
Well, the easy ability of drones, and in fact, you can even make it at home as a do-it-yourself project, definitely increases the complexity and the challenges that we have to deal with. We are seized of this problem, and we have put in place certain measures. I would not like to elaborate too much on all of them for obvious reasons. But all our troops on ground have been sensitized to this evolving threat, and we are developing capabilities to deal with that, whether by state-sponsored or by states themselves. We are developing the capabilities to deal with them, with this drone threat, both in the kinetic and in the non-kinetic realm. So I think this is a continuous battle. Over the centuries, this has always been the case. Capability is developed, another capability is developed to counter it. Then another capability goes further up. So this seesaw battles between drones and counter-drone technologies will continue. And this is how the character will keep changing, and we will have to keep adapting to this if we have to succeed.
Was the Indian Air Force base adequately protected at Jammu? Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat gave details about how India needs to do much more and steps that are being taken to protect our assets from an adversary's attack. Remember, swarm drones or disruptive technology or weaponized drones will increasingly be used by both state and non-state actors to target any military where the weaker country would seek some parity with a stronger country. This again is an India Today exclusive. So were we caught on the wrong foot with this drone strike at the Indian Air Force base at Jammu?
Well, I would not say we were caught on the wrong foot because we were aware that the adversary is using drones. We were seeing drones dropping weapons, drones dropping warlike stores, drones dropping drugs and fake currency. All this had been happening. Drones have been attempt to infiltrate along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir where they are being engaged. So we have got systems. Now to deal with drones, there are two ways. One is you use technology, which is a counter-drone mechanism, which we are evolving. Some of the counter-drone systems have already been inducted into the army, but the Air Force, the way they have prioritized the deployment of these systems, they probably gave lesser weightage to Jammu because they are limited numbers and deployed the anti-drone systems elsewhere. Now the systems are being brought into Jammu, but will the next attack happen on Jammu? We don't know. It could happen on some other airbase. So we need to now rapidly look at counter-drone systems. At the same time, you have to be prepared for kinetic engagement of drones. We have sharpshooters, we have sniper rifles. These have to be deployed to bring down these drones. They are possible. If you are able to train your people, position them on heights. In fact, what happened on 26th January and 15th August, when you go to the Red Fort on 15th August, you find a lot of sharpshooters who are sitting on high-rise buildings.
Okay.
And you have a counter-drone system deployed there, yet you have sharpshooters ready to bring down a drone should it try and attack or disrupt the rally there, or disrupt the functions that are taking place on 15th of January. We do it. So you've got to adopt both systems. You've got to be ready with your kinetic systems. Now I'll tell you, the fear of using the kinetic force with a rifle or a sniper rifle and tell him that if you see a drone, you knock it down. What would have happened, let us say, in Jammu at that stage, if drones are flying in the air and everybody lets loose with his rifle and starts firing in the air, and then you find that you brought down a friendly helicopter, because there could be helicopters using the airspace. So therefore, airspace management is something which also has to be controlled. So if there's a sniper, he must be specifically tasked that you will target that drone and that drone alone.
Okay.
And he makes sure that the round that he fires hits that drone. So this is where the training, your weapon system that you engage, and you have to also ensure that when you are engaging at a drone, the round should have the capacity to auto burst in case it misses the drone. So there are systems which are available, which are existing in the armed forces, and this is the way to go forward.
But does the drone strike at Jammu, in your appreciation, actually amount to an escalation? As you very rightly point out, from 2019, Pakistan has been using drones to send in arms, ammunition, drugs into our country. Now they've done a drone strike. If normalized, will this embolden Pakistan or the adversary to perhaps go in for a bigger strike and deeper?
See what was the intent of Pakistan? If this drone has been launched by Pakistan, if that is the assumption that we are working on, and if the agencies have been able to home on to the fact that this has been launched from Pakistan, but the intention was only messaging that I have the system, I can do this to you, or was it to actually engage one of our targets? If it was actually to engage one of our targets, and had they destroyed one of our targets, then I think the reaction would have been very different than what has happened this time, because we do not know the ultimate intention. If the intent was only to showcase their capability vis-a-vis what they can do, well, let them attempt to do something with the intention of causing destruction to our assets, and the reaction from our forces will be very different. Our political will is there, and the armed forces are ready to do it.
So that's very interesting, because perpetrators of weaponized drones, are they testing waters? Are they sending out a message? Is our reaction only defensive? Or like Balakot, are we on the offensive that there will be costs imposed on whoever the perpetrator is?
In the past also, I have made statements that ceasefire does not mean mere stopping of fire between the adversaries on the line of control. Ceasefire, if you are using indirect systems to disrupt harmony and cause damage to each other, it amounts to violation of ceasefire. So therefore, we will deal with this in that manner.
Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria is extremely confident that adequate measures are being put in place to ensure that terrorists, subversives, state actors, non-state actors, or those engaged in grey zone warfare do not succeed in striking at will. He gave details about measures that are being taken to keep our air bases free, and how Air Force and the Defence Research and Development Organization, the DRDO, are working in tandem. Air Chief Marshal Bhadauria spoke to India Today's executive editor, Shivarur. Let's listen in.
Your assessment of the drone strikes at the Jammu Air Base. We've heard multiple versions of what may have happened. As the Air Force Chief, your assessment of this particular incident.
Okay, what happened at Jammu was essentially an terrorist act which attempted to target our assets there. The attempt failed, of course. Our assets were not damaged, and there were two explosives used. First one was HE in nature, and the second one was fragmentation in nature, more meant to kill people if they were to come onto that scene. And both failed. There were some minor injuries to two of our personnel. As far as other details are concerned, all the agencies concerned have launched a very detailed investigation, and we have also provided, our members are with them to provide all the details. and we'll wait for the results of the investigation in terms of why and who, etc., and take further action as per that.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Air Chief, given that, the threat from such drones has been, something that India has been cognizant about for a while now, the Air Force and the other services, military establishments have had, some anti-drone defenses as well. How could this attack have happened? We are just trying to understand, even with those preparations, sir.
Yeah, okay. We have gone over this subject in terms of the implications of this kind of capability in the hand of non-state actors, and of course the kind of effect the drone capability and the armed drone capability would have on even future conflicts in a conflict situation. Both have been addressed to a large extent in terms of our planning, in terms of what kind of system we need. Essentially, both the abilities of soft kill and the abilities to have a counter drone system which will have an element of detection and an element of hard kill, which is sustainable in the sense that it should be possible to react in short notice, detect, quickly react, and be able to target it. And that targeting is essentially directed energy kind of targeting, so that the possibility, especially in terrorist kind of situation or acts like what has happened, the possibility of harming our own people is lessened. All those issues have been looked at, and many of these projects were already undertaken, and some have already been fielded, and it's from the indigenous industry. Especially the soft kill options are already in the field. This particular base did not have a critical assets, and we did not have that system fielded here. As far as other methods at such bases are concerned, whenever a drone which is not expected or which is not ours, and it kind of comes into the boundary, there are processes and SOPs in place in terms of addressing it. But this happened that on a night there was no visibility, and it happened from a direction where from the airfield to the perimeter to the target they chose was just about 450 meters. So these are the ground realities. But in terms of our ability to counter such, it's already some ability or has already come, and much more is coming. In fact, another month from now, our deliveries will start for another such system from indigenous sources. And I will not go into the detail, but a lot of work has gone behind it. In terms of hard kill operation options, it is a little more tricky issue.
Okay.
We have worked extensively with DRDO. They have a nearly functional system. It's under trial. Some improvements need to be done in order to achieve the kind of distances we need to effectively target such activities. And that it's just a matter of time before we finish the trials and put it into production.
Air Chief, ever since the Jammu incident itself, there have been drones spotted at other stations, which basically gives the impression that this is going to be a kind of, technological warfare, a new chapter in using drones in an offensive manner at this level. Given that, this is a new reality, and you've just spoken extensively about the defenses that we have, assuming that no defense can ever be 100%, as the Air Force Chief, and given events of the past few years, is the way forward to ensure that these attacks don't take place at all? Are punitive measures also on the table?
As far as the threat from such drones is concerned, both in terrorist application or in a conflict situation, particularly application of this kind of capability which goes into swarm drones capability. So we need to have systems. Firstly, we need to have capability ourselves, and a lot of work has gone into that, so that we already have some capability in drones. It's not that we don't have, we already fielded it, and we will have much more. And we also will have such capability with the adversary. So this is a cycle which will continue, but we are giving it a very high importance. It is a critical area. It is a new kind of threat. It has many, many connotations, and we are looking at it closely to find the right solution and the right mix and handle it effectively.
So from all these conversations, one thing is very clear: disruptive technology and grey zone warfare is here to stay. India will need to be prepared, not just at the line of control and the line of actual control, but also for grey zone warfare, what the armed forces now call MDO. or multi-dimensional operations. That is all we have time for on the Battle Cry. Many thanks for watching.